What's up, investors? Today I'm going to talk to you about M1 Borrow and how I plan to use this as part of my emergency fund strategy. Currently, I have about a year's worth of my living expenses in a high yield checking account, and I'm only earning 2% on that. I mean, it's not that much, and there's just so many better ways to actually invest that money. And this is why I'm really excited about M1 Borrow. Now, what is M1 Borrow? It's basically a new product by M1 Finance where you can take a line of credit on a portfolio of stocks. And they're offering at a really good interest rate right now. And at the current moment, it's at 3.75%. With M1 Borrow, you can actually bypass traditional forms of loans. You don't have to go through a lengthy approval process, tons of paperwork or something like that. And you don't have to sell your securities, right? You don't have to sell your stocks to get money. You can actually get a line of credit on your stocks. And this is actually nothing new, but this is really nice that M1 is offering this because I really like M1 Finance's platform of investment because they really make everything nice and easy. I'm really excited about this because I can actually reduce my emergency fund and I feel more comfortable if I have, $10,000 or $20,000 invested into M1 Finance, and if I can use M1 Borrow to leverage my portfolio of stocks so that I can have a buffer for my emergency fund. And this really excites me because I can actually use that cash that's just sitting in my high yield checking account at 2% and invest in something else that actually earns a higher interest rate or a higher return on that money. And this is why I'm really excited about M1 Borrow. Now, who's eligible for M1 Borrow? There's only one requirement that you really need is that you need to invest at least $10,000 into a taxable brokerage account. And sorry, IRA accounts are not eligible for this. And there's no additional paperwork or no additional credit checks on your credit. And to me, this is amazing. I mean, if you really need that line of credit, if an emergency really happens, you have M1 Borrow behind you, and you can actually get money quickly at a really reasonable interest rate. How do you sign up for M1 Borrow? There really is no actual sign-up process for M1 Borrow. Once your taxable account is over $10,000, then you are eligible for M1 Borrow. But this doesn't mean that you have to use M1 Borrow. It's just something that's available if you were to actually take that line of credit on your portfolio of stocks. Now, how much does M1 Borrow actually cost? Now, going back to that interest rate that I mentioned before, right now it's at 3.75%. But this is a variable interest rate. And what that means is basically that it could change. It could be variable. And this interest rate actually tracks the federal interest rate. So that interest rate can change anytime, guys. So just keep that in mind also. Now, how do you actually pay back the M1 Borrow loan? Well, this is actually easy too because you set the time and you set the amount of how much you want to pay back that loan, except on a maintenance call. And this is one of the risks of M1 Borrow. So when you use M1 Borrow, your maintenance status will actually be shown on the app. And what a maintenance call is based on is basically the equity in your account. So say if you invested $10,000 in a portfolio of stocks and you took out 35% of that, which is $3,500, and so that's a total of $13,500, right? And you divide it by 10,000, you have about 75% equity in that account. Now, if that account of stocks was to drop to about $4,000, your equity is about 30% right there. And so your account is up for a maintenance call. And this is just an extreme example. And this can also be avoided by just about how your investing style is. And the way I would do this, I would not actually invest in very volatile stocks because this can happen. A maintenance call can be called, and M1 Finance is going to basically freeze your account and request more money to actually bring up the equity of your account. So this is actually one of the major risks of using M1 Borrow. But I feel confident because this is just going to be a part of my emergency fund or this is always an option. I want to use that money in my emergency fund to actually invest in something else, such as real estate or stocks, where I could earn a higher return than 2%. Another risk of M1 Borrow is that the interest rate actually increases depending on the federal interest rate, because if that changes, then your interest rate changes too. You can actually get a discount on your interest rate if you sign up for M1 Plus, where you get a 0.25% discount on your interest rate. And this might make sense for some people depending on how much money you're actually taking out and for your time period, because a 0.25% might make a difference depending on how much money you take out. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I'm really excited about M1 Borrow and using this as part of my emergency fund, just so that I have a flexible line of credit if I ever need to take it out. And luckily I've never had to touch my emergency fund, and nor do I plan to, but I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's just there just in case of emergencies. And if you found this content valuable, I want you to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button, just so that I know that this content is actually helping you. So take care, investors. I'll talk to you later. Bye.